One thing I can certainly say about this election is that when in Broward County it was some sort of fishy business was happening with them finding ballots and people were taking photos and Project Veritas was looking at it and everybody had their spotlight on Broward County in Florida, which is also Debbie Wasserman Schultz's stomping grounds. And so we had people, and this seems to be the case in the political discussion in general, notably with this very recent Facebook banning and enacting censorship on Lauren Southern, Paul Joseph Watson, of course Alex Jones, Louis Farrakhan, which I denounce everything Facebook is doing. Okay, I fight for free speech. Okay, even for views that I despise, and in many ways I do despise the views or disagree with the views of these individuals in some ways, and I also agree wholeheartedly with their views in other ways. Regardless of if I agree or disagree with somebody, I do support their right, their human right to free speech. So I do implore Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg to bring these profiles back because they were not violating the terms of service on any rational level. Okay, these people are being called dangerous, extreme individuals, extremists. And I wouldn't say ideologically that Paul Joseph Watson is any more extreme than, say, for example, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks, or any other individual for that matter. He doesn't incite violence. He is a peaceful pundit and political commentator. There's no reason to get rid of him, except for the fact that he is a classical liberal. He is not of the ideology of Facebook, which has fallen largely to ostensibly the left and the modern religion known as social justice. So I say here, anybody cheering on potential cheating because their side benefits from it should check their principle. Not check your privilege. Check that too, I guess. Notably, if you're being accosted by a social justice disciple, but you should check your principle if you're cheering on cheating just because it's against your side, against the other side. If it's against the other side and you're cheering it on, but then you cry foul when it's on your side, well, I hate to appeal to hypocrisy here, but it's pretty hypocritical and it's not very principled. So when I see, and I've found largely that those that have a more left-wing ideology in general have largely cheered on and defended the Facebook's right to censor whoever they choose for any reason they want without giving a reason. They have fallen on almost exclusively the private company, even though it is publicly subsidized and publicly traded and enjoys many benefits from the government, as well as the benefit of being a publisher and a platform at the same time. So they have curation rights, but they also have public officials, and it's also been ruled in court, for example, with Twitter, that President Trump's Twitter is essentially a public utility. But I believe that these social media platforms should be designated public utilities. They should be designated the modern public square, and that free speech should rule the day. Okay. Now, of course, you should be able to moderate your own page, your own household, your own website, your own forum, your own subreddit. Okay, your own household on the internet. Okay, people always go to this government tyranny. It's so you don't want Facebook, a private company. You're such a libertarian, my friend. You don't want Facebook, such a private company, to have control over who their users are. That seems very authoritarian, and you seem like a government stooge. And I say we already have a law for that. It's called the First Amendment. All right? It's just a matter of enforcing it. And in fact, not just the First Amendment, but there are other laws too regarding speech rights, including cases that have to do with private business. I believe a 1947 case, I forget the name of it at this moment, but it dealt with a private business town, a town owned by a private entity. And the Supreme Court ruled that I believe it was religious proselytizing and preaching was allowed on the street corner, public square, and they weren't able to ban these individuals from exercising their First Amendment rights. So Facebook is a surveillance state apparatus. We had the Cambridge Analytica scandal. We have heard all sorts of things about data being sold. And let's face it, you had your Russian trolls as well. You had election interference, okay? Regardless of whether you believe that narrative or not, and there is merit to it, there were, troll farms, Russian troll farms, and others that put up political ads for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Bernie Sanders in 2016. So there is merit to election interference being an issue on social media. But frankly, without a Facebook, a Twitter, if you're completely depersoned, debanked, deplatformed, demonetized from the internet, if you're removed, you're not being allowed your positive liberty, your ability to prosper in your country, notably this country, the United States of America, where you have your constitutional rights. Okay? You can make all kinds of analogies. Analogies are bad, but it's almost, one person made an analogy about how the argument that Facebook should be able to arbitrarily, by the way, not following their own terms of service, or at least they're really interpreting the hate speech and the inappropriate content clauses in their own policy very liberally, okay, to make these claims. They allow certain voices that are even more, subjectively, but even more, you could say, extreme on the platform, while removing these other voices, which Lauren Southern, Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer, there's a ideological slant there, okay, that they're certainly following. But somebody made this analogy about free speech and about the private, and I do have several Twitter threads on this. You can check out. My opinion is a bit more laid out there, but I'll share this analogy where they said, if you had said that a private company has the right to discriminate, okay, based on arbitrary or immutable characteristics, whatever they want to do, whatever kind of discrimination they want. If a bus company back in the 1950s wanted to discriminate against a specific person or group and say they have to go to, say, the back of the bus, would the same people fighting on behalf of censorship argue that that private company has the right to do that, to act with tyranny and authority in a way that discriminates and removes the God-given and the constitutionally provided rights of American citizens? Okay? You have to stay principled. Anybody cheering on potential cheating or potential unfairness because their side benefits from it should check their principle.